I cannot find it for the life of me.
Okay.
But again, my desktop got all Charlie Foxtrotted, which means
Mm-hmm.
somebody was in my
We are
office
live
and
now.
disconnected. Hey, and welcome. I hope that now was actually the cue, and I didn't say something.
We're in the splash screen, and no, you said the military versions of the words.
You said the
nobody
military
cares.
version. Yeah.
Okay, so let's before we do a recap and an intro, let's get the dice, the destiny. Let's populate the destiny pool.
Yeah, I rolled mine already.
Mm-hmm.
It's one for the GM, so it's good.
Okay, so I'm just
Roll one of the white dice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, one of the white dice. Sorry.
Yep. It's the other.
Oh,
Whoa.
nice.
No, that works. That works.
Yeah. Oops. I added one extra. There you go.
There we go.
And there we go.
Oh goodness, I don't like this.
That's the best. That's the best start, man. I mean, we've got nowhere to go but up.
So, following that, let's go ahead and let's roll the duty chart. I think we start with like Aloy was at the bottom of the duty chart. Is that true?
I think I'm the only one who had assigned duty thus far, because I don't know if Jim picked one and Ivan hadn't picked one, so.
I have picked one.
Okay.
Good start. Yeah.
So I am rolling the D100.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you're rolling it for everybody. Okay. So nothing happens.
Oh, hold up. Wait. So is that table?
The way it gets triggered is that table is if you don't want to decide and you just want to pick one, you roll on the table and whatever you pick one, right? Okay. But the roll that you just did is to see if the duty is actually triggered. Now the way you do that is there's a starting percentage of duty. That's the basic percentage, and then you add it up. Like I occupy, I don't know, 1 to 15% or something like that. Yep. And you occupy 16 to 30 on the table. And when Ivan comes in, he's going to be 31 to 46. And then you roll it. And if the numbers come up, then your duty is activated for the session.
Yeah. So like something about your particular area of interest will become part of the session. And your wound threshold is +2, and everyone in the group's wound threshold is +1.
Right.
And if you roll an 11, a 22, a 33, a 44, yours is +4.
Ooh,
which is kind of, it's getting into the like eating bullets for breakfast range. Let's minimize this initiative. We don't want to be too intimidating. Good evening, folks. We are continuing our Age of Rebellion game, which is set in a backwater of the mid-rim called the Five Sisters, which is a rural set of planets, which experienced a kind of a robust rush of Tavanna gas mining 30 or 40 years ago, and that's hung on a little bit. And so the agrarian and tribal peoples, tribal humans called the shepherds, have kind of grown to live alongside of the resource mining folk and their economy, and it's grown together into a cohesive society that was very happy to have the protection of the Republic, because the shepherds are known for having a number of force sensitives. And in Dooku and Grievous's rush to find opponents for the Jedi and even the score, they did try to plunder some of the young and brightest folk among the shepherds. And So the five sisters were thankful for the Republic's help, and later were a cozy and unremarkable backwater of the empire. But 2 weeks ago, news of the Battle of Yavin spread like wildfire across the empire. And the rebels, striking from a hidden base, first stole the plans to the Death Star. The entire rebel fleet of ships suddenly attacked a very fortified Imperial planet, and not days afterward, the Death Star, a massive superweapon, was destroyed by the rebels. And so this is coming on the heels of that. The Empire has declared that the Rebel Alliance, not the many pirate fleets, not the vast, rampant corruption that runs through every echelon of the bureaucracy. No, the Rebel Alliance is public enemy number one. And here, in the Five Sisters, a new development has come about, which perhaps Davian Sir, a local police officer, or once was, maybe we can hear his perspective on what's begun to happen here.
Yes, the Empire has... The system has been so far semi-independent, or at least locally controlled, but following the destruction of the Death Star, the Empire has assumed control of the entire sector, basically, like the Five Sisters system. And they immediately began a crackdown on the shepherds, being, that all mystics and ancient religions are now being persecuted, or at least that's what Davian realizes. Now, Davian's son Idrian is one of these mystics who has a connection to the Force, and he has gone to train with the shepherds on a different planet. So when we witnessed the beginning of the takeover by the Empire, we saw them rounding up civilians and dissidents, and Davian decided to basically, abandon his job and position and rush off to get his son before he is taken prisoner by the Empire, fearing that they'll execute him or enslave him or do some other nefarious thing.
So the drop of the hammer of the Imperial plan, it was botched, strangely, and so everyone got very up to the minute information just as the TIE fighters were screaming into the air. So it was that a great many people were able to basically grab their car keys and try and run for the hills. And this is possibly owing to the actions of a prisoner that Davian happened to be transporting as these events unfolded. And so it is that Amara, a dusky-skinned woman of about pushing 50, and looks like she's probably fought in the original Clone Wars, and is likely more than experienced with the years in between, reclines in the lounge of this whaler's craft that you've just managed to escape the atmosphere of Scintilla in. And at the helm is 1V4N, our absent pilot. And this craft, it was left behind as everyone grabbed their car keys and ran for the hills. And there was a particular gentleman who was eyeing it up as a possible acquisition, just as Davian and his friends boarded the craft. Who is that fellow?
that would be Maxbil Salon. Somebody who is just trying to get by day to day.
Seems we commandeered the ship simultaneously.
Yes.
I'll leave it to the two of you to settle which one of the who's going to be the owner. I don't think it has much military application personally. There've been a few too many cosmetic modifications. She eyeballs through the cockpit window. One of the tusks of the sky whales of Scintilla is like a pair of longhorns on the front of a station wagon.
Yeah, right now at this point, Davian's main concern is just getting off planet and trying to find his son. So his ownership of vehicles is not a priority for him at this point.
So, with the snappy line of dialogue, which I will leave to Ivan when he joins us again, we do a screen wipe, and the shuttlecraft dives back into the upper atmosphere and then into the aurora, and eventually is able to evade the chaos in the airspace above Scintilla. As you know, there's just kind of every TIE fighter is trying to wave down and bring to heel every space-worthy craft that was on the world. So you know, people are trying to get out of Dodge. Or you know, trying to get Anne Frank into the attic and so on, and so there's a flurry of activity. So it's easy enough to thread the needle, or rather, it's a story that we won't tell today. And so it is that perhaps several hours later, the shuttlecraft is hauling towards the sun, towards the sun of this particular star of the Five Sisters, and it's starting to get difficult to remain in the cockpit as Amara has alleges that her friends she's pointed at a particular spot on the sun and suggests that their engine flare is they're just hiding on the disk of the sun. It's the only place we could find. Sorry. You can let the droid stay up there. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah. At least he does not need to be as concerned with the radiation shielding as the rest of us.
So I found a carton of eggs in the refrigerator. I don't know if they're good, but I did leave them on the cockpit dash. They should be hard boiled in a little bit here.
I suppose. So, what about our ultimate destination? Have we checked the Navi computer on this bucket of bolts?
Oh, you know, that's an excellent question. I mean, my reckoning was that the hyperdrive was not going to be functional. I do have a rendezvous. You know, I mean, they weren't going to abandon me here, so I can certainly make introductions to Captain Tycho. He's an agreeable enough fellow. I'm sure that if you don't. If you're not looking to throw in with us, then he can find a good place to set you down, or at least work as contacts to get you home. I'm perhaps the other fellow. I don't. I'm sorry, we haven't been properly introduced. I'm Amara. Do you smoke?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Oh, damn. She throws a pack of cigarettes, an empty pack of cigarettes on the ground.
Indeed. My name is Maxbil. It's nice to make your acquaintance.
Maxbil, you strike me as a Tabana man. I take it you work the rigs normally?
Indeed, I do.
Well, the Coral Reef is short of engineers, or at least we're usually short of human ones. The droids tend to keep to the back of the ship and keep it running well enough. But Captain Tycho's been interested in maybe having a set of human eyeballs take a look down there. That is a conversation that he might want to have with you, just to prepare you for it.
Well, as my most recent business venture, currently working on its TAM, I think that would probably be right up my alley.
Well, if you're looking to improve your tan, may I suggest the cockpit?
Oh, I meant the ship.
Oh, pardon me. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I suppose meeting this Captain Tycho is the best we can hope for. This ship doesn't look very space-worthy, and that hasty patch repair that we did of the cockpit. This Tycho, I suppose he's, shall we say, on the wrong side of the law, like yourself.
No, he's just a bit eccentric, frankly. My understanding is that he's a relative of Jan Dodana's, and that's how he's come to start working with our organization. But I have to say the Coral Reef is, in some respects, a menagerie. I'm not really sure whether it's a combat-worthy ship at the moment. Your droid friend might find a suitable home there, I think.
Perhaps.
Tycho likes droids, to put it briefly. Maybe a bit too much. If you're familiar with how some women collect cats.
Well,
Okay, so with that, I'm going to wipe. Does that sound good? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's wipe. The paint is peeling off of the longhorns, and all the caked blood of sky whales has been kind of nicely cooked off of the shuttlecraft, and it's kind of taken on a nice gleaming white new look, or maybe just sort of that dirty spaceship white that we're too familiar with. And that's because it's getting kind of just this side of the orbit of Mercury as it comes into dock with the Coral Reef, which is just a regular run-of-the-mill Corellian Corvette in just about every sense of the word. But one thing that you notice is that the batteries on either side, the point defense batteries and the main turbo lasers on the top and the bottom, they're sort of a little bit frantic or wall-eyed, I guess is how you could put that. You know, like they're just pointing this way and that way. The guns are going up and down, left and right. Just kind of with a little bit of a whimsical personality. And so it is as the aircraft hisses that a pill-shaped droid comes into view, and he's just kind of he's literally shaped like a kind of a long oblate ovoid, and he has tiny spindly little legs, and he wears sort of a poncho cape, and he whistles something out in binary as the airlock hisses open, and he sets the docking piloting. There's a console to kind of pilot the ship from the airlock window to kind of get the ships to line up and so on. And so he locks that in and says something cutting to 1V4N, and the two of them seem to strike it off. And she says, "That's our welcome, gentlemen." And the two of them start bickering down a hallway.
You weren't kidding when you said a lot of droids, I guess. He didn't have
they
anyone
seem to do most of the work around here, as much as you'll call it work. But we do have a refuge of our own in the mess, where we seem to keep food more than oil baths, thankfully. There's a few of us in there, and we might be able to find some friends, and some food if you're hungry. I'm afraid the eggs didn't cook well.
Yeah, that sounds good, and I'd like to meet this Captain Tycho. But by all means,
I'd like him to
us,
meet
please.
you too. Yeah, I'm not necessarily certain we'll be making his acquaintance, but you'll likely be able to find Major Logos. He's and his men. They're running this operation. So you find that there's the kind of, as you pass through the kind of the various hallways of the ship and gangways, that many of them are converted with kind of accessibility ramps for different kinds of droids to wheel up and down. What would normally be a ladder, as there's kind of some bulkheads have been cut out so that astromech droids can wheel their way up and down. And but there's a mark of sanity as you pass through a particular doorway, and interestingly, a sentry. So two men in fatigues are sharing they're watching some sort of holovid together on a Palm computer, and as they approach, they see Amara, and they say, "Yeah, well, she's back. Looks like she brought some new personnel." Ma'am?
And these are human as well?
Oh, yeah. Hello, fellows.
I nod in greeting and I say,
Either of you got a smoke? No, and you ought to ask the droids, because at this point we're down to rations, and we cooked up the last veg last night. Took you long enough. Captain Tycho is working on a new creation, if you take my meaning. We need to get him on the bridge before he let's just say we need to get the ship moving. I think the Major is up. I'll see how he is. And so one of the sentries kind of retires into the barracks. There's a long table at the center of the room, which has data pads piled up, kind of in an orderly fashion. There's just kind of maybe 300 or 400 books piled up on the tables, and behind a set of curtains, the man disappears, and a bearded, wavy-haired, salt and pepper and somewhat portly man who's unmistakably would have to be related to Jan Dodonna, comes out, and he's holding a droid arm, which he's very proudly kind of caressing the back of the hand of, and he seems quite satisfied with himself, and he gives a nod to Amara, and he suspiciously sees you, Davian, and Maxbil, and then he passes out of the room. Okay, so a middle-aged military man with very little to say one way or the other physically about him next emerges from the curtains. Amara, who are our guests? Could you give them an introduction? So she introduces them as well, as you as well as she can, and then he takes a gander at the two of you. I'm given to think that maybe we should roll some dice here.
Okay.
And I want to say maybe cool is the word, but.
What are we trying to do here? Cause an impression?
Well, he's taking stock of you. Let me put it that way. There's a pause. Okay. There's a pause, and essentially, like, he walks over to the table, picks up a book, and he starts saying something that's kind of bereft of content. Like, we need to get the jock motivators up to deck 3, and he's trying to hold you in his personal space during that length of time, and it's sort of up to you how you're going to portray yourself to this man, I think.
Could I make the argument that charm might be more appropriate?
Oh, certainly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a your move is kind of what I'm saying.
Okay. So Maxbil will take on. Was he talking to us when he was saying such and such needs to be, or was he talking to some other part? At any rate, Maxbil will pipe up without any social recognition of rank or anything like that. You might want to try a different method on that. I might have a trick or two that would be a little more efficient for you.
Well, that is... I have my ear to the wall about anything efficient because these droids are obsessed with everything eccentric, and they make everything eccentric on this vessel. So, if you like things to run like a well-oiled machine, we'd have a lot of the polar opposite of that here. So, you might make my, and then he makes some kind of technical reference to kind of test the waters with you, and there so I'll invoke some dice here.
Okay.
We'll call it a simple roll, but I'm going to flip a destiny to upgrade it to a red die.
Okay.
It's your score against one red die. Yeah. Add one red die to the pool. Yeah.
Okay. So just to be sure I have it. One yellow, one green.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yellow, one green,
I'm
and
not
a red.
being a good boy. There we go. That should be better on the stream. Okay.
Okay.
We should flip one of these because you're using it to upgrade, correct? Upgrades.
100 was still in there, but the rest is there. So we've got. Where's the graphic I built? I've got the 3 to do Starburst deals. One, and then My apologies on the terminology.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Trying to find my image that I put my shorthand because I had built something. But can you guys see my roll?
Not yet.
See it yet. Did you hit the roll button?
I did.
Weird.
Hold on a sec.
Oh, hold on. I see Jim rolled a roll, and somehow I see what happened. Aloy flipped the destiny, and so, and I'm looking at OBS, so it's just it's underneath of that in the log. So what I can do here is actually I can have two. There we go.
I'm gonna refresh this because I'm not seeing his roll. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
No, wait.
Yeah. So wow. Okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now you know why I didn't want to re-roll.
Okay, so you're welcome to narrate the success here. For kind of you've earned this man's trust. That's as sort of a basic about your skills, and thus you've earned his welcome. You also are feeling pretty fatigued and hungry by the long voyage, or at least several hours with the air conditioning just kind of barely struggling to keep it on. So I'm gonna throw a strain at you with that threat.
So while they're talking, I'm trying to act all cool and professional, and trying to assess what's going on here, and sort of inspect the status of the ship. Right? Is it a mess? Because I'm hearing the word eccentric. Does that mean that the ship? I mean, is the ship clean? Is it sloppy? Is it messy? Is it ship shape but weird? I don't know.
So everything up to the crossing the threshold here has been absolutely odd. So, and that there's just kind of weird scrawled graffiti on the walls. There's droids doing like the pair of astromech droids doing something to each other, kind of as you walk by, kind of with every single one of their fingers and appendages going at each other's guts. And there was a gonk droid that you had to kind of turn sideways to go around, and the gonk droid had a bunch of interesting epithets about the Empire, kind of painted onto it, not unlike the side of a bomber. Quite and artistically, no less. But none of the lights are flickering. There was a length of corridor where all the lights were blue and red, and there was another one where someone had set them to Christmas light mode, rainbow Christmas lights. But you cross the threshold in here, and there's a military order to what's going on here in this room. So
I'll
there's foot lockers and made beds, and these 30-40 books are that are on these. It's probably intelligence. It's probably dispositions and stuff like that.
So in that case, I'll just say, so Major, Amara tells me that you seem to be in charge of operations here. What kind of outfit are you running here?
At this point, disruption. The Alliance's resources are almost entirely consumed relocating off of Yavin, trying to find a new base, and keeping the fleet supplied as it jumps all across the galaxy, trying to avoid dispersing. And so the few of us that are out here, our goal is specifically just to slow the Empire down. They've taken a strong interest in planets like this that have Force-using traditions outside of the Jedi. It's been largely live and let live with them up until now. And that is not the case here. There's been a pogroms on 4 planets similar to here. I take it you're a native?
Yes, and I witnessed part of this crackdown that you described. My own concern stems mainly from the fact that my son is a member of these shepherds. Do you have any intelligence of what's going on in the world whose name I can't remember?
Gorham.
They are mostly
Gorham. Well, here's the interesting thing. I don't know if you put the pieces together on the operation that we just did with Amara and bouncing the satellite signal. But as a matter of fact, they've tried to use the conjunction to conceal this action. So it's my understanding that the hammer hasn't dropped and likely won't until the conjunction is over. They're going to try and get it done here on Scintilla before they move on. And that likely means that they don't know on Gorham about what's happening here. We've tried to make a new uplink, and we tried to find a bounce, but up until now one of the reasons that they're fumbling the air campaign is because half of the TIE fighters were off blasting every satellite out of the sky.
Yes, it seemed that Amara was retransmitting the information getting the information to the planet, bypassing Imperial communications. Yeah.
Well, so that announcement was pre-recorded by the Moff. And my understanding is that it wasn't intended to be seen or shown for another week, as a matter of fact. So apologies for the fake news. I hope, I hope it didn't ruin your day.
Well, we seem to have a head start on the Empire in that case.
In some manner. Let me ask you something. I think you see what we're doing here. I'm not particularly sure whether we're going to be able to jump to Gorham. Right now, we're running the numbers on it, and the way it looks is that there could be an Imperial Corvette holding down the other side that we can't go toe to toe with. So the Star Destroyer is here, and the local interdiction carrier is here, trying to lock down Scintilla, and we don't know if we can go to the other side, and there's no way to know unless we go, and we might be stuck if we do. We might be in a knockdown drag out fight until we can jump back out. So I'm telling you this because if there's any more fighting us, it's probably going back to Scintilla and trying to do some hurt there.
I understand.
You two seem to know the terrain well.
Yes. As you know, I don't generally pay much attention to navigation and specifics of transportation, but I have a general layout of the land. I'm more of a people person. My droid 1V is a good pilot and has comprehensive data banks on navigational data for the sector. It seems to me that I will need help if I am to get my son out of the clutches of the Empire. So I'm willing to help here in Scintilla as well.
Well, don't count yourself out of a reunion yet. I have a thought. I'm given to think that spacecraft that you came in on. Your name's Maxbil, right?
Yes.
He walks over to a crate and opens it, and underneath of several layers of kind of minor supplies, lifts another kind of trapdoor lever into the bottom of it, and he pulls out a small scintillating blue flask, and happen to have a little bit of coaxium that we've set aside. I think there once was a hyperdrive on there. Is that correct? On that shuttle?
Been my observation, yeah.
Well, I'm going to see if your friend Davian here can brief my men on the records office, the archives on Scintilla here. If we can destroy their records of where everybody lives, and who's the most interesting folks to kidnap because they have been involved in religious activities. We can destroy the records here. Maybe the two of you can get on to Gorham and do the same there.
That sounds like a good plan. Help a lot of people like that. If we manage to do this.
Well,
does sound like a productive effort.
You're going to have to convince my men to trust you and your knowledge of the planetary procedures here, and the law enforcement here, if they're gonna get in and destroy the database. I'll get you downstairs. Be careful with this. Don't drop it. So he hands you enough of the space gasoline, enough space gasoline to make a Star Destroyer go for one jump, which it's also enough to turn a very dead spaceship back into a starship. So good luck with that. So montage with some rolls. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Okay. Do you want to describe some montage action, Davian?
I think they managed to pull up some schematics. They have like a holotank, and they have some schematics of government buildings in Scintilla where such records would be found, and defense platforms and stuff like that, which I don't think would be many, if at all, because this is a pretty peaceful sector, but there should be some, because there's always whalers and sky whales and other creatures and the occasional pirate. So there will be some installations, and maybe the central government building, and Davian points out within the hollow projection, avenues of approach and security checkpoints and whatnot.
Well, I'm given to think that this is kind of a matter of taking a read of all these guys, and they're trying to work out their plan, but they're also trying to figure out how much of your knowledge they can trust.
I have leadership skill. I don't know if that
sounds like that's the right skill. Yes.
Okay.
And I believe that it's an average roll. Yeah.
2 purples. Yeah, I got 2 greens and a yellow and 2 purples. So here we go. Oh, not good. Not good at all.
Okay. Okay. So at the end of the day, they decide that they don't have enough. They don't have enough to go on to actually get in and get out. That's that. Like the Slicer and his team, and and then the Overwatch guys, and they're just like, there's no way we're going to be able to guard from, no way we're going to be able to guard against this, blah blah blah, and the other guys are like, once I get in there, we don't have credentials, like we don't look like locals, we're not like, we can try and bang up fatigues, but we're going to be walking down a hallway wearing the wrong color jackets, and sooner or later somebody's gonna raise the alarm. What if there's already stormtroopers there? Blah 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 blah. And anyway, and so it's at some point it comes to shouting, and the major comes back in and slams one of his David pads on the table and says, "It's off." We're gonna jump in 2 hours for the rendezvous point. Meanwhile, none of this sad chain of events is not, Maxbil is not privy to, because he's banging away at a hyperdrive motivator and peeling apart the insides of this old ship. And the interesting thing, just kind of as you get a little bit deeper, as you peel off an old pinup poster of a galactic looking Twi'ek princess, and behind it is operating your shuttlecraft with the included droid, little kind of manual, one of those like stickered on, like pre-included things, and this eerily similar looking droid to 1V4N on the old kind of included packaging on the furniture tag.
This is interesting.
Davian, you need to narrate those advantages, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Maybe the data is incomplete, but maybe he conducts himself with, enough confidence and professionalism that maybe that gains him a little bit of goodwill with the men, right? So maybe, even though the operational details are not enough, maybe in future roles I could get like boost die to...
They like you.
Yeah.
They like, so, it isn't personal.
Yeah, they're cautiously optimistic.
Exactly. Sounds good.
Okay. So so what do you want to do to make this bird go streaky lines again?
Well, first, so that manual, like, that's just the kind of the initial checklist, get it going, kind of thing, which would be a sticker. Okay. The first thing I'm gonna look for is any malfunctions that are keeping it, keeping regular flow of energy from happening.
Oh, well, that's easy. I mean, somebody just unplugged the whole hyperdrive, and then they put it in and then they put it in the closet.
Oh goodness!
like they just in this like linoleum over hardwood floors.
Okay. So well, then the effort would be to maybe get a couple of droids and help me put the damn thing back.
Oh, okay, yeah, you get some help, yeah. All right, yeah.
Because I can't imagine a hyperdrive something I can just
All right, well, yeah. I mean,
if I can,
you kind of you go into Droid City. I mean, they are sure are busy with things. Like I guess they sleep sometimes. They seem to be like so the thing that yeah, I don't know. Tell me about how you want to approach getting some droids to help you. Yeah.
Look for the one. I'm going to look for a couple that are doing what I would assess to be the most useless task.
Okay. Oh well. I mean, they seem to be involved in a very, very long board game. They seem to be involved in like an incredible like a board game that no human could ever hope to finish. The campaign for North Africa.
But it's an abstract game, right? Like with little geometric shapes and stuff like that, and like 3 boards, and it's 3-dimensional with hundreds and hundreds of pieces.
So yeah, I'll walk up to him and simply approach. Is it within your programming to assist me in lifting this machinery to its appropriate location?
It is. I think I know exactly who you should talk to, or rather, talk at. Did you see the one that has the very garish paint job, with the very special warlike decorations?
Indeed.
I'm sure he would be happy to help with doing anything involving bodily strength. He's very glad to be a strong fellow.
Yes, quite. And then I'll just take my leave and head for that droid.
I believe that you have made an error in placing your rook on the 3rd level. I think that you really should have gone to the 2nd negative space and then exchanged your Tim Tam for a Wingwan. So yeah, they send you on your way, and the Gonk droid is soon following you. Soon happily bouncing. Bonk, 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 bonk. He's bouncing his way. Kind of needs to turn diagonal just to get through the hatchway into the shuttle. And so from its cumbrous body comes it sets itself down on its legs. Its legs retract, and it just becomes a big brick on the floor. And you're worried that it's dead. As the lights go out, and then a window opens kind of in that rectangle bit in the middle, and a crane a crane arm comes out. And
nice.
and you do bonk bonk, and there's a hook on it, and he starts spooling out cable. Just like tons of cable starts spooling out with the hook on the crane. Bark, bark, bark.
Oh, goodness. And then, yeah, I'll pick up the hook and try and wrap it around the engine as best I can to make sure it's stable as it's being craned out, or craned into place, rather.
Okay, well, you notice that in order to get the crane arm out of his body, he had to retract his face. And so his face is like he can't see. So you have to lead him by the nose. You have to hold his hand.
Okay.
As he hobbles his way. So yeah, there's this big 500-pound refrigerator size kind of piece of equipment that you kind of manage to lower back into the floor. And hook her back up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'll give you a boost die, and it's a average.
Mechanics roll.
Yeah.
Average.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, 1 boost die, and then average is, sorry.
Average is 2 purples.
2 purple. Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to add that to my own cheat sheet.
But I'm going to flip a destiny.
Oh wow!
Because you're it's completely dry, like it hasn't had any coaxium in it for 20 plus years, and so you're like you yeah, it's yeah. If you ever put a water cooler, when you build a PC, and you're kind of a very anxious moment where you're worried about if water's liquid cooler is, it's going to spray all over the inside of the PC. Yeah, something like that. Except it's, it's liquid cooled with plutonium.
Right. Yeah.
But he does a masterful job of putting that in. Look at that.
All right, let's flick that back on. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
you have to tell us about how that worked out, why that worked out so well. Oh, we needed a red die. One of those dice needs to be red, though.
Oh, okay.
I roll a red.
So I will throw 1 red die on top of that.
Yeah, we can figure it out from there. That's fine.
Yeah, just roll 1 red. Yeah, it should be fine.
Okay,
Oh, that's cool. It just cancels one of the advantages.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so Maxbil gets down in there. He's hooking everything up, and he's had to, just from experience before, he's had to dry start one before, where it's he knows a couple of the O-ring equivalents to kind of like spit on and lube up to make sure it's not dry before he seals the connection. You see him, you're seeing him essentially spit on his hands and all that as he gets everything connected. And I'm going to say my advantage here is, he connects it so well that it's going to actually improve efficiency on.
Okay.
The engine is going it's going to run closer to new than it really should for its for its amount of time in dormancy.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
If we look at the benchmarks on the cheat sheet, each success can reduce the time required by 10 to 20%. This is a speedy job also.
Oh, well, yeah. You have the gonk droids help.
Just throwing it out there just to look at benchmarks, but I mean, what Jim
nice.
said is perfectly fine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so kind of just as the kind of the sweat beading on the forehead PowerPoint presentation time for Davian is kind of finished up. It's it's pretty exciting. I mean, you could just go. You had got time to go grab a coffee. I mean, I don't. Who were you supposed to tell when you were done with this? Done already? Like you figured somebody was going to come check how it was going.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you have time to do something else before you go even see like who you were gonna tell.
I'm gonna go see if I can. If there's a. Well, no, they said they took the last veg, didn't they? They cooked the last veg.
Cook's Last Veg, yeah, it's down to MREs.
Well, I'll go. So what I'll do is I'll go grab an MRE and again from experience of roughing it with the whalers, uh, mix a couple of the two together. Like I grab a couple of them and I mix a couple flavors. Like you get the right cracker with the jalapeno cheese.
Yep.
Mix those two together and the chili mac equivalent to make a quite relatively decent meal, while leaving all the extra garbage to the side as leftover.
Okay, a droid comes and collects the leftovers, for unknown reasons, but is very excited. Is very very excitedly packs up the leftovers of the two boxes and just starts carting it off. Ooh, these macaronis, when dried out, make excellent craft project materials.
Nice.
In a pinch, they might help connect some cables or something.
Right. Yeah, work as insulation temporarily, anyway.
It's sturdy. Yeah, they're not going to break.
Okay, so you probably see the kind of the cracking moment when the major makes the call that it's just not happening. That you kind of are probably in the doorway or something to that effect. And so as he dismisses everyone, he said, everyone take a run. We need to work this one out before jump. Get it out of our system. How did the
Major, what's the plan going to be?
Well, there's a number of plans going through my mind at the moment, but unfortunately, not many of them involve folks that have not earned our trust. Although Amara does seem to be fairly convinced that you are not a cop. I'm not particularly sure myself yet, considering that you are indeed a cop. No offense.
No, I'm taken. I understand.
However,
it makes sense.
Friend is in the doorway here, and I may have something on my mind to propose to the two of you.
Maxbil, did you get that hyperdrive functioning?
And a bite to eat on top of it. She should be running just fine.
You don't say. I'm pleasantly surprised. Interestingly, it appears that a droid has done an EVA and given your craft a shave. If you take my meaning, and many of the accoutrements have been removed, much to my surprise. But apparently they wanted to commandeer those for one of their projects. Given that, perhaps the two of you should try and dogleg to Gorham. We're still behind the sun, so you're gonna have to find some dogleg point for your jump. You can't just you're not being able to go straight there. But I don't see why you shouldn't get there. And you can spread a few rumors. Pick picks up a data pad. We've got all the news broadcasts that came out of Scintilla. We managed to bank them. They'll be blacked out to the rest of the Five Sisters. I'm sure somebody will be happy to rebroadcast those. And if you feel like, blanking the records office, like we talked about with what we were going to do here on Scintilla, you might try and make a few friends. You've got probably another 3 days that the Imperials think that their blackout worked. And if you do the math, even the folks who jumped out when Scintilla, they're going to have to jump back to wherever they're going to go, unless they dogleg, which I don't think anybody's going to dogleg into a system that's under Imperial interdiction. They're not going to jump straight back to where they came from. If you're trying to run away from the cops, you don't run towards them.
Yes.
So I don't know. Are you crazy enough? And two birds with one stone. Maybe there is a dogleg point. You know the local geography better than I, boys.
Yeah, well, we can head to Gorham, see about getting my son to safety, and we'll spread these rumors.
Rumors?
Well, not. Sorry. We'll see that this information gets disseminated to the general public. It's in the best interest of the shepherds, anyway. I'm sure 1V will have navigation points to get us where we need to go.
Yeah, I suppose this is as good enough farewell as any. I have an interesting proposal for you. A few of my men were not completely dissatisfied with some of your knowledge here, and they've been talking to that boy that you brought down in your cargo hold. They fed him up, and they're going to sponsor him. So I'll trade you. Corporal Merrick over here can come with you and give you a hand. He's a good one. He'll have your back.
I don't know. 1V is pretty knowledgeable about the system.
Right.
And he has a mind of his own, so.
Oh, you think he's not too keen to make any new friends yet? Or?
We'll take your man along, but I want 1V to come with us as well.
Oh.
I'll be happy.
Oh, did we misunderstand each other? I'm sorry.
We may have. I thought you meant to trade 1V for.
No, he's talking about the prisoner. He's talking about the.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Yeah.
Okay.
It's Corporal Merrick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we could use the extra hand or ship.
So yeah, I'm this is a minion rebel trooper. Here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Here you go. We can't spare much, but if you need anything else, let us know before you undock and get on your way.
Maxbil will just make a point and to ask for some of the MREs that are least wanted that he knows has some good key parts to them to mix with others.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so okay, we need to wipe to the excitement. We need to wipe to the excitement. It's Star Wars.
Unfortunately, I have to pause it for reasons stated below.
Okay.
This is good. This guy, I need a minute to like figure it out.
Okay,
so
cool.
that's fine.
That always happens. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Spinning chair. Nice.
Well, it really, yeah, that's kind of cool. It's very Star Trek also. Okay. All right. Boy, this is a wild ride. That's my impression of sort of the way that we've set up this game, or the way we started this game, and now it's sort of like it's hard.
Well, I think this is pretty good because now we've established that we're with the rebellion. So
well, you got into the contribution rank 0 point where like you're known to the rebellion and the rebellion is known to you, but you're not
right
in it. You know, so we fulfilled like the
preliminary requisite.
Yeah, the book. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we get a chance to prove ourselves with the mission, right? So. So, if we spread the information around and maybe we can try and wipe the memory core of the government building or
yeah, those are the two hooks. That's the two hooks.
Yeah.
And like we can jump right into those tonight.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
We could try and how would we go about that? I have a couple of ideas. The two things that would pop to mind immediately is either going to trying to contact somebody to run the recording for us, right? To transmit that, like go to a news agency and get them to accept the thing as legitimate and broadcast it themselves, or...
Well, that actually fills in the dogleg question. I mean yeah.
Or alternately, try and locate like the leadership of the shepherds and speak directly with them before we disseminate the information, because they're the most affected, and there might be Imperial sympathizers or something about. So I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas here. Oh.
Well, so Gorham is a big planet. It's big and heavy. And then, if I recall correctly, Eric's is the kind of the icy moon. No. Eric's is a moon of a gas giant that's a little further out.
That's the diamond thing.
The diamond world is, and this is the thing, is I have misplaced my gazetteer.
Yeah, we need to put it together in one place and print it out.
Yeah, I think it's time for OneNote. Because I did it, boy, I remember it was summer when I did this the first time, and I was at the playground with Al, and it was like warm out.
Yeah.
So in any case, yeah, I mean, if you end up doglegging to go, it's the thing is the two jumps thing. Whatever, we'll just hand wave it. We'll just hand wave it. It's fine.
Yeah, sure.
No, it's fine. That's fine. Because it makes good Star Wars sense. 1v4N's off camera, and he just he does a very good aspiration check, and you get to gore him just fine.
So does Gorham have any population centers? Because I remember this is the megafauna planet, and it seems to be like a sylvan, woodland, wilderness type of planet, right? In harmony with nature and stuff like that.
So it's a super Terran world, so it's about maybe 2 or 3 times the mass of Earth, and then the circumference is maybe let me do the math here, at least like 1.5 to 2 times more, or big around at the equator. So it's physically very large in area. And then also it's bereft of oceans. So there's just a lot of land. There's just a great deal of land. And so this means particularly that it finds the most of the economy is driven by gathering and safari type stuff. So it's exotic creatures and exotic plants and people who go find them. So it's rangers all day. As far as what drives the economy. With that in mind, yeah, the
one major settlement, or like a planetary capital or something.
So I'm given to think that for relief from the high gravity, there's kind of a single kind of hemi-semi ocean. There's a shallow sea that's the main body of water on Gorham. And so generally for relief from the high gravity, and also to acclimate, it just makes the most sense for people to spend a lot of their time waiting when they arrive. And so the shuttlecraft docks in kind of thigh-deep water, and this is more or less customary. And so there's a little causeway for cargo and for droids that is alongside, and in order so that you don't wander off a sidewalk and so on, there's a little light that comes up on a little post that indicates the path. And new arrivals are generally there's a hovering droid comes by with repulsor lifts, and it'll sell you either a Harkonnen belt, so that you can walk around like Baron Harkonnen with your pendulous belly suspended by a repulsor. It's quite expensive. Or you can just buy some galoshes for 40 credits. And you can walk around in the shallow water like everyone else does when they first arrive.
I guess we'll do that, because we don't have much
You've been
money.
here a few dozen times. I mean, or you've been here a few times with your son. I mean, I don't know that you ever fully acclimated to the high gravity. No, let's just say it makes sense that you've done a tour here. It makes sense that you've done a tour here. So it'll be difficult, but you are up for it. I believe that we should probably. I will set it. So there's 2 setback dice of gravity is what we'll call it. Until you're kind of up to speed. So one of those is canceled for Davian, and then we'll maybe we'll ask Maxbil what do you think about the shuttlecraft touches down, and it sort of, as the repulsors deactivate, there's a groaning of metal as it acknowledges the weight. of the planet.
Is it a gravity 2x or what level?
It's like half again Earth gravity.
Okay, so like a 1.5. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's kind of short in stock. So it makes him more. I'd say just grumble. Just you know what? His groaning is going to match that of the metals.
Okay. And the droid has a little countdown for like, buy if you wish to buy any gravity assistance devices, you have this much longer before I will fly away.
I don't know if I even have any credits.
So are we saying that this is like the major settlement here?
Oh yeah,
this is
no, I
just
mean
like
this is sort of the evocation is like a swampy Chichen Itza. So there's a lot of pyramid shaped buildings, that are Blade Runnery, and the speeders generally run along top of the water, and speeders will go under and emerge and so on. There's a fair number of aquatic alien species that in like Quarren. There's a Quarren enclave here, for example. It's a fairly large city, so there's maybe like 10,000. It's not a huge city by any means. It's the capital of the planet, and as far as that means, there's a city hall. Kind of. There's one building. Mm-hmm. There's one building, and there's one police station, and there's one public safety fire department type, search and rescue office.
So here's what we're gonna do. If like the city hall building is probably where the records are kept, like the records we'd want to wipe, correct?
Yeah.
And those records are probably, include addresses and locations and stuff like that. So that's pretty good. So what I want to do is I want to take advantage of that data that is already there, figuring that if I can go into those banks, I could find out where my son is at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Maxbil and 1V, let's visit the city hall first, try and find the records of where my son is located so we can go find him. I want to acquire that data, and at the same time we might take the opportunity to sabotage the records. Maxbil, are you any good with computers? Can you wipe this data from the databanks if I get us access in there?
I can give it a shot, but your droid here might be a little better at that kind of work. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that would, unless we want to count mechanics as something that we can actually use. I don't. Yeah. My computers are okay. My computers are good.
Yeah, I got. I don't really have any skill on
it. Long hesitation from Maxbil. Yeah, no, computers is the name of the skill. That's.
Yeah. So yeah. But again, I could probably work something. Especially, or it would be more useful elsewhere.
Okay. So do we want to just Blades in the Dark style? Like the plan is in medias res?
Sure. I was planning of just trying to bluff my way in, flash a badge and try to go inside. I'm not the best bluffer. I didn't really build a bluffer or a liar, but hey.
No, I mean, okay, so.
We'll work with what we have.
Okay, so who are you taking in with you?
Well, so Maxwell is not really good at the computer wiping. Is he good at explosives or something?
Correction, I am good at the computering.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Yeah, I'm actually just fine with computers.
Oh, okay. So we'll definitely. I think we'll bring everybody along. 1V will probably just tag along anyway. If I can convince him to keep his mouth shut and not get us blown all to hell.
It doesn't stick out. I mean, you can probably, he's already expected to be with you, so that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, just try to bluff my way inside and see if we can get all the way down to the...
Okay. So the street level entrance is a long peninsula that juts out into the water, into the kind of the swamp water, and you end up on public transport. There's a slide walk that gets you the rest of the way there, and so there's the sort of half submerged boats that convey people who are new to town, and of course one of the stops after the local hotels is the government building, and so it's not particularly long. Once you find yourself, you haul yourselves out of the little kind of transit boat thing, and up onto the peninsula, and the dryers. As you pass by, an automatic door opens, and there's some nice posters on the wall, and then there's some nice warm dryers to try and make it so that you're not totally dripping by the time you get through the kind of the first set of double doors. And there's a patch of grass inside, which is kind of meant to take up more of the water that people bring in. And so it's landscaped in the lobby, and then at the lobby checkpoint is your classic put your keys in a bin and put your keys through the down the conveyor belt and so on, and so a similarly uniformed officer sees you with your droid. And she sees you with the corporal, and sees you in. Welcome, officer.
Okay, I flash the badge and the holstered blaster that I have. Assuming that I can get it past security.
And she waves you through, and looks at your friends.
Oh, they're with me. They're assisting in an investigation.
Okay. They're going to need to go through security.
Uh-oh. These guys have weapons.
Well, that's right. I do have a pistol, don't I?
1v4N has a blaster carbine.
Blaster carbine. I don't know where he puts it. Maybe it fits into his torso or something. He needs to buy one of those. What do you call it? A compartment, secret compartments. He needs to.
Take maybe he flips from the droid.
Yeah, maybe he flips a light side point and declares that he's had some work done to conceal the rifle or something.
There you go. Okay, that takes care of everybody's stuff. There you go.
Because that,
There you go.
that
Okay.
seems fair,
Yep, just
right?
flip it.
Let's flip a
That works
a token for Ivan. Yeah.
Yeah, that works good. Okay. So, you're going directly to the kind of the records office.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, the question is, there's kind of the planetary data center is in the second sub basement. I mean, of course, you can access it from any terminal on any floor. But you can just look at the building directory once you're through the checkpoint, and there it is, planetary data center. It's if you get in the lift, it'll take you there.
Right. Sounds like a plan.
Down you go. Ding.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a cylinder-headed droid with two square eyes, which looks up from a desk and alertly kind of recognizes, sees you, and says, "How may I assist you?" Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I am Officer Davian Sewer. Flash the badge. THX 1138. I'm conducting an investigation. Transplanetary affair. We required direct access to the memory core for planetary data. We have reason to believe it might have been corrupted in some form, and we're going to need direct access for inspection and assessment.
That requires a requisition order, Form 22119. May I see your data pad?
We don't have the authorization at this moment. There is a matter of some urgency regarding possible sabotage.
Okay. All right.
Just, hey. You want to roll or something for...
I mean, I think yes. Yeah. I mean, so it's opposed, and I think it's deception. I'm pretty sure it's deception, and
so
I'm
too.
pretty sure it's opposed by the droid's cool. If I understand the skills correctly.
That's the matrix that I need to check, and because there is a very specific list of what opposes what.
Yep, there is, and it's worth learning. And I don't blame Ivan for feeling sick. Okay, here we go. Deception. It's cunning, and it's okay. Social skill matrix. That's page 118 is the interactions table.
I'm just looking here at the game master.
It is opposed by discipline.
Ooh, excellent! And discipline goes off of will if it doesn't have the discipline skill.
Indeed.
If it doesn't have the skill, it's just against his discipline. So it's his willpower.
Okay. Well, there you go. He's got the
what is
old
the-
willpower one. He's a protocol droid.
Can I lobby for a boost die for flashing the badge and having some degree of legitimate authorization here? Authority?
I think that's not it's meaning that it's not upgraded. Like he's not getting a free upgrade. I think that's like this is it's not absurd that you can pull off this. Yeah, I'm given to think, or rather, like maybe that's nixing
Right.
setback dice. Yeah.
So can I get a blue die for, because it's not some rando trying to pull the con, right? It's a guy with some legitimate authority.
No,
Up to you. I mean, adequate equipment provides boost dice.
Okay.
But up to you. It might be situational. I'm just laying it out.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. So his willpower is 1.
Okay.
I'm gonna flip the die because Star Wars says there should be action.
All right.
I'm gonna flip a destiny, so we're gonna turn it red, and then he's a protocol droid, and he gets a boost for free on things relating to procedures.
So I mark if a boost for him is a black for me,
yes.
Right? Because I rolled the whole pool. Okay. So I got 2 greens, 1 blue, 1 red, and 1 black. What could possibly go wrong? Here we go. Oh, did it roll? This is weird. I think
I'm trying to get Owen Mead to refresh.
Yeah, maybe I should just.
It looks good. Yep.
Yep.
Did it go through? It didn't go through in mine. That's so weird.
Oh my
God. Let me refresh. Oh, there we go. Oh, hey, well, 2 advantages. So,
okay.
So he's not convinced, but I seem to have made a little headway.
I cannot allow you to. I cannot allow you an unauthorized access to the primary mainframe, sir. Please allow me to contact my supervisor, and I'll consult with him.
Well, maybe.
Can we use one of those advantages to maybe distract this droid while?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
maybe try and either
sneak past or something. Yeah, so maybe.
Well, maybe I'm thinking maybe tap into him and make him think he's reporting to his supervisor, spoofing his supervisor, as far as his algorithm or as far as his response mechanisms, programming.
Yeah, I
make him think he's responding.
So, there's easiest way to do that is to just do it. Is just hit his comm link. Is to just spoof the phone call.
Okay.
So I'll distract him. I'll start. Yeah, sure. Let's get the paperwork done. Not the paperwork. Let's get the documents squared away quickly. There is some matter of urgency, and I sort of start talking to him to one side to allow Maxbil to do his thing, and those 2 advantages we can leverage into a blue die, a boost die for you for your check.
Correct. And so we need to figure out
computer or mechanics.
Those are our options, huh?
Well, I would think.
Give me a second. Signals intelligence is sort of the gatekeeping area.
Okay.
Skullduggery is the first line.
Well, if that's what it has to be,
I don't know. I mean, Aloy. I mean, I'm open to this. I'm trying.
Yeah, I've heard different ways to approach this. Like if you say maybe if it feels like skullduggery to you, you could say like average skullduggery, but then maybe Jim could counter with something like, well, it's more mechanics, and you can say, well, okay, mechanics, but instead of average, maybe then it's hard and it's 3 dice, right? Because he's not using the exact skill you think he needs to use. So that's one way to approach it.
I agree that it probably is skullduggery, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think it's just a 2. Like, it's probably average to, like, that's an average skullduggery thing to, like, think that someone's calling the phone number, and then they, to spoof a phone call. That seems pretty average.
Okay.
Now it seems like something that criminals do all the time.
All right, so 2 green, 1 yellow, 1 blue, and I'm going 2 purple for average.
Yes, average is 2 purple.
Okay, and no red or black.
Right.
Yeah, and there is a white destiny in the pool because
there we go. I clicked it too. Sorry.
Nice. I like my odds. We'll go with this as is.
Oh, complete wipe. Oh my
Can
God.
I use the destiny now?
Unfortunately, no.
Unfortunately, no. Hello, sir. There are 3 gentlemen here and 1 droid. They are looking for access to the primary database. One officer, Davian Sur, he believes that this is a matter of urgency, that there's possible corruption, and he's just going on and on about the call, and it's just, talking to someone on the other end of the phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the best I can do is listen.
So I look over at Maxwell, yeah, no. So what do we do now? See, if Ivan was here, he would go, I shoot the droid, but he's not. So, I'm gonna flip a one. Okay.
And what? That's not how that works.
Whoops.
Oh, you just click on it. There we go. I'm gonna flip it, and I'm gonna say, oh, all right, yes. Oh, if you say so, sir. I'm sorry, gentlemen. I'm gonna have to ask you to wait here, while, well, I'll let the primary security system describe what's going to happen next, and then it flips a switch and please return to the elevator. Please return to the elevator in the next 15 seconds. The breathable atmosphere will be evacuated from the database room.
Oh my God.
As a precaution against any burglary or theft. Any personnel remaining in the area may be subject to suffocation.
Hey, that's a thought.
We could leave Ivy.
Yeah, we could leave Ivan, but
leave him, but I'm not sure how much we want to do that.
Yeah, and what's waiting for us when we get to the top of the elevator. So, are there any other exits out of this room that we can see?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a water closet for this floor. There's a little alcove for the vending machine. There's 2 hallways going right and left, which probably go into the the mainframe rooms, and then since just to the side of the elevator, there's also like a mechanical closet, and it looks like there's probably blast doors are going to seal for the hallways, so it's probably just going to evacuate the lobby area. And you notice this because the plants are plastic. The plants are all fake.
So,
oh dear.
I think we leave 1V.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, do we shoot the droid, or because if we leave the droid, he's gonna,
anyway.
Yeah, he's gonna keep messing us up. So I mean, I feel like if Ivan were here, the droid would be destroyed already. So let's just shoot the droid, man. Let's kick it up a notch. We're being too careful here. This is Star Wars.
All right.
Sorry, be right back.
Okay. Guys, we should be wrapping up anyway. So it's it's a little late. So, so do we leave it here? And
I think we should roll for initiative next time we play.
Okay.
I think that's a great.
Yep.
That's
that
a great
sounds like
way
an
to do it.
Yeah.
And Ivan gets to shoot the droid because
exactly.
I know that's he'll appreciate that. So
okay. So I'm gonna go off the air. This is a connective tissue session. We've had them with Raven.
it happens.
You know,
that's